Welcome once again. Now let's take you through the newspapers and share with you the major stories making headlines across Nigeria this morning. We're joined by the publisher, the niche newspapers, Mr. Ikechukwu Amaechi. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning also, and it's always my pleasure being here.
Congratulations. I heard your president, I watched your president's inauguration yesterday. Congratulations. All right, let's start with the Punch newspapers this morning, as quickly as possible. It says here, 50% tariff hike. Nigerians may spend 6.74 trillion naira on calls. Telcom's group insists hike should have been lower. Threatens suit ahead of February implementation date. Donald Trump returns as 47th U.S. president, rejects transgender and illegal immigration. Also, Sanwo-Olu pledges to work with new Lagos speaker. 6 killed, 3 injured in Ogun, multiple crashes. A court adjourns Dangote Refinery's 100 billion naira suit against marketers. Top of the screen there, you can see court condemns media trial, denies EFCC arrest warrant request, says Otudeco and others not properly served. These are the major stories. Farmer header crisis. More northern states adopt Ruga to curb clashes. And the Niger explosion death toll hits 98. Very sad.
Very, very sad. Let's move on to the next paper this morning. Let's take a look at this Nigeria. It's got one picture on the front page there, and that's, of course, the man known as Donald J. Trump, the 47th president of the United States of America. Trump, at swearing in, God saved me from assassin's bullet. From assassin's bullet, he says. If you watch that speech, he did talk about that, and he talked about how it pierced, how he felt it, through his ears, and how God saved him and brought him because, Anyway, says America's decline over golden age here. Ex-Presidents Bush, Obama, Biden witness grand event. Hillary present, Michelle stays away. There'll only be 2 genders recognized by the U.S. government, male and female. Wike Commission's 5-kilometer Abuja Road promises another. NCC approves 50% tariff adjustment for telecom operators. All right. Sanction on banks over cash shortage at ATM timely, according to experts. I'd love to ask if there's money in the ATMs now. It's something I'd love to check today. And finally, Solid Minerals now summons Edun Bagudu over poor budgetary provisions. 46 billion naira for Labour Ministry insufficient to attain set objectives. And Dingyadi tells National Assembly. That's all I'm taking on the front page of this Nigeria.
All right, so I think we should get straight into the conversation. There's unfortunately the EFCC story still didn't make it to the papers, and that is the reported shooting of a EFCC officer in Anambra State. It's not in any of the papers. It wasn't in the papers yesterday, I think. So I don't know if you follow that story. If you can quickly start with that before we get into the ones for this morning.
Well, what is there about the story is that an EFCC officer was killed in Anambra. Well, of course, there are conflicting stories as by who killed him and how he was killed. It behoves EFCC and, of course, the security apparatus we have in this country to carry out proper investigation. Look, this issue of media trial and all that, which EFCC is good at, should not be extended. We need to know what really happened to that officer, who killed him, where, and how.
According to the EFCC statement, they are saying that they went for a raid in the early hours, and bear in mind that they had they had banned night raids. It reportedly happened by 3 or 4 a.m. that night. According to what the news is saying, they in their statement said they went in the early hours of the 17th to, of course, do their raid, and in the course of the raid, that this person saw them through CCTV and then shot one of their officers. And when they went to the apartment, they found laptop and iPad and other things for medical supplies. He's accused of being into coding and medical supplies of doubtful legitimacy. So I think the key part really is that, for a long time, Nigerians have pointed out that this thing that EFCC does, where they go break down doors in the middle of the night, in the early hours when it's still dark, people are sleeping, and you hear them making, raids into nightclubs or into people's private residences, claiming to be arresting internet fraudsters. Nigerians have complained bitterly over and over and over against it. If you remember the one that happened in Ibadan, where that video went viral, where they were slapping the hotel staff. And then when Ololukoyede came in, he banned these same night raids, which they have completely ignored in the whole conversation.
Perhaps that explains why the media is also not interested in that story, as it were. Like I said, I wouldn't go for anything EFCC is saying, because it's like EFCC being a judge in its own case. We need to know, Nigerians need to know, in what circumstances did the guy die? Look, I'm always against the taking of life, particularly when it comes to security personnel. But you don't put yourself in harm's way unnecessarily, all in the name of enforcing the law. So we need to know if, as you rightly pointed out, EFCC had already banned night raids. Why did these guys go on that operation? Was it a rogue operation? Was it sanctioned? Who approved that operation? And the Nigerians need to understand how that officer was killed, by who. So all this story of EFCC that they went banging on the door, the guy saw them through his CSTV and started shooting, it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. So we need to know, and you see, like I said, the EFCC has almost perfected this art of media trial, whether it is in arrest of people or whether it is in the dissent. They do that, they try you, almost convict you in the court of public opinion. But when it goes to the real court, they don't have the evidence to match the allegations. That is why, in terms of the conviction, the only thing they succeed in doing is the Yahoo petitives. But when it comes to the politicians who have the capacity to fund their own defense, to get the best lawyers, they're almost zero in terms of the conviction, because they don't investigate. They don't come out with forensic investigation that will provide. Look, in other places, before even somebody is brought to the court, the plethora of evidence available is as good as having convicted you already. But here, you are arrested, all manner of spurious things are put out there in the media, and then that's when investigation will start. It doesn't make sense. So we need to know what happened.
Yeah, maybe the court should also allow that. I mean, not necessarily that we see anybody being killed, but at least let's see the CCTV and see whether they were properly dressed and identified as the FCC officers, and what time they got to this person's house. If
it must be thoroughly...
at 7 a.m. or at 3 a.m.
It must be thoroughly investigated. Let me reiterate, I am against the killing of anybody.
Absolutely.
Particularly law enforcement officers. But then, people should also be conscious of the fact that you don't go and carry out rogue operation. I'm not saying this is a rogue operation, but you don't go to carry out rogue operation and put yourself in harm's way, all in the name of enforcing the law.
All right. Niger Delta explosion death toll, or Niger explosion death toll rather, hits 98. And shockingly, it's on the Punch, but it's in very, very tiny print on the top right corner of the Punch, almost like the story doesn't matter. But below it, you can also see court condemns media trial, denies the FCC's arrest warrant for Motudeko and others. You could pick any of them.
Again, well, the media trial again. EFCC. Look, we don't need all this bluster. EFCC is full of bluster. EFCC is full of all this nabragadocio, which does not do it any good. You don't convict, try, people in the court of public opinion, in the media, even before the case comes up in the law court.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense. If you have a case against Oba Otudeko, I'm not a fan of his. I've heard stories about things that transpired while he was the chairman of First Bank. I'm not too sure that those things are things I would ordinarily endorse as a Nigerian. But people must have their day in the court. And it behoves EFCC to carry out thorough investigation as a crime-fighting agency of government. It behoves them to look. It is only when you carry out investigations thoroughly that you will be able to get conviction, particularly when it comes to high-profile cases like this, that those you are up against also have the resources to fight back. If it were ordinary people now, perhaps all these ones now we're talking about, Otudeko would have been in prison and maybe in prison for all week here. But he's not an ordinary person. He has a lot of money. So he can get the best senior advocates of Nigeria and all that. So the media trial, EFCC does more of media trial than carry out thorough investigation that can secure convictions in the proper law course. I'm talking about the other story. You know, Osa, again, that's the sad aspect of where we are today in Nigeria. Loss of lives. What is the worth of the life of an average Nigerian? Almost nothing. In a place where 98 people, in a country where 98 people lost their lives. And by the way, can you remember how many tanker explosions we have had, perhaps in the last 10 years, and how many people died as a result of that? So, people, it is no longer news that 98 people died. In fact, the question that should be asked is that, when is the next time? And how many people are going to die? What has the president done? You know, in any other country, if there is this level of this, and there even should be a national mourning. But who cares? The people have been buried in mass graves and all that, and everybody has moved on, waiting for the next time is going to happen. What are those steps that have been taken to ensure that it does not happen again? Why would petrol tankers still be on Nigerian roads every day? There was a time when there was this law that says that trailers and tankers should only be moving about
night.
Yeah, at night. What happened? Why is that not the case today? There used to be pipelines from refineries that carry petroleum products from the refineries up north. Of course, all those ones have been destroyed. They are no longer there. So we have tankers all over the place, hauling petroleum products from Lagos to Abuja to Maiduguri to Sokoto and all that. So why wouldn't there be this kind of unfortunate accidents that will claim lives and all that? It is the sad reality of the Nigerian situation. And of course, you go on these Nigerian roads also. Look, I drove from Lagos to the east during the Christmas period. If you get to a place like the Benin bypass, it's a death trap. And mind you, we are at the peak of the dry season. I can assure you, when the rains come back, nobody can go on that road. and the tankers will be falling. And so we are not serious in this country. It is sad that every day we come here, it's as if somebody takes joy in talking down on his country. But nothing gets better. My brother, nothing gets better. For a country that, there was this report the other day that the Minister of Works
yes,
said that it will take 17 trillion naira to fix Nigerian roads. And you are not doing that. You are building a Lagos-Calabar coastal road with 15 trillion. Does it make sense? You need to drive on those roads. Right from, immediately you veer off from the Lagos-Ibadan Express Road and go to Shagamu. From Shagamu up until you get to Owerri, except for the second Niger Bridge, there is no stretch that you can say you will do 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers without seeing craters. So how can a country develop like that? And we come every day, budgets, all that. At the end of the day, nothing. They said Buhari borrowed money for infrastructure development. 1 year after, where are those infrastructure that Buhari had to push us back into the debt trap? Where did all the money go into?
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, and I would always, whatever opportunity I have, always remind people that, the time factor is an important thing that you should never, ignore. The current administration has 4 years. You are likely going to go another 4-8 years. Think of how old you will be, and you still very likely will not see an improvement in the same road that you're talking about.
By May 29,
bypass, yes, will be 2 years.
By May 29, that will be mid-term.
Yeah.
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. Complete.
So there is nothing. And if again, the politics of 2027 had already started. Because for the average Nigerian politician, it is politics, not governance.
Yeah.
It is all about politics. He is sworn in today, is thinking of second term right from the first day. All the decisions, I'm not saying without this, except all the decisions that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has taken since he was sworn in on May 29, 2023, they are decisions that were informed by the politics of re-election. All of them. Whether it is giving 90...
Local government autonomy?
Everything. Whether it is giving 90 billion naira to Hajj the pilgrims in 2023, or whatever, it is to woo. Even the creating of the livestock ministry, which is not needed because the Minister of Agriculture should ideally be in charge of that. The creation of the local government autonomy is also geared towards the 774 local governments to wean them off the influence of the states.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's kindly hold on. Apologies. We have someone calling us from Egbeda. Good morning.
Oh, okay. We lost that.
Please go on.
So it is all about politics. Politics trumps governance in this country, and this is where we are. Like you rightly said, we'll finish another 4 years.
And then we'll look forward to another, yeah.
And those roads will be in the state they are today.
Talking of roads, let's see if we can put up the Daily Trust and get you react on that very quickly. The Daily Trust newspaper has something on the front page that is very worrisome. It says federal government re-awards Abuja Kaduna highway contract to inactive company.
Nothing. Joe, nothing should surprise anybody in Nigeria. Look, I read that story, but it's a typical Nigerian story. I'm no longer surprised or embarrassed by which the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road, did it go through due process?
No.
How was it awarded? What contract has the Chagoris done? What is their track record in terms of road infrastructure that will make you award their company the biggest road contract ever in this country? One contract, 15 trillion, to only one company.
Yeah.
Now you revoke, okay.
Again, apologies. Good morning, Coyote.
Yes, good morning.
Morning, welcome. Go ahead quickly.
Yes, good morning. How are you today?
We're doing good.
Nice
We're doing good.
that Ikechukwu, good morning too. I don't pity you goes to the east during the Christmas of that bad road. You see, we know that there is nobody in this government that wants people to live this way. All they are looking for is to put us into serious problems so that we will not be able to fight against them come 2027. The issue is, look at the call rates that they have increased. Look at all the tariffs in this country that they have increased. And there is nothing like subsidy in our nation. Where do they do that? Which country that doesn't give subsidy? I don't know.
Well, anyway, I think we lost that call there, but we did get Dr. Kayode's summation there. I think he's also in line with what you have said, talking about the bad roads and how Nigerians are continuing to suffer in line with this. But you did mention the roads.
Joe, no, we're talking about the story in the Daily Trust.
Yes, Daily Trust.
The details of that story is that, of course, you know that that contract was taken away from Julius Berger because Julius Berger was asking for a variation and an extension, and they took it away. Fine. But how come of all the companies in this world, it's a company that is inactive in the registers of the Corporate Affairs Commission, and that is against the law. It is unlawful, going by our statute books, to award contracts to an inactive, and they have traced the place the so-called company claimed to be his office. I think somewhere in Surulere. If you read that story well, people in that building say they are not aware of such a company. So it is, look, the level of impunity that is going on in government circles, particularly with the Bola Tinubu administration in the last 18 or 19 months, is unbelievable. And they don't care, because there's this feeling that the National Assembly has been conquered, and then they have the judiciary in their pockets. So who are you to talk? But let's watch and see.
It's mind-blowing, you know, and people joke around with these things when they see infrastructural projects happen in other countries, and they would say that in Nigeria, you know, if there's a particular highway that, you know, by the time Donald Trump is done with his 4 years, that road will still not be fixed. The average Nigerian will grow from his teenage years to his mid-40s, and Benin bypass will still not be fixed. And that is administration after administration, and promise after promise, and budget after budget, and minister after minister. And those roads would just still remain the way that they are. But they have some way to convince you that they've had a successful government. It's
mind-blowing.
I don't get it. I honestly do not get it.
It's mind-blowing. is my boy.
We're out of time. Ikechukwu Amaechi, thank you very much for joining us. And again, congratulations on your president's inauguration.
Look at what we have to also look at for is the implication of the Donald Trump presidency on Nigeria, on Africa, and we have to brace up. And look, if you listen to Donald Trump yesterday, perhaps you may begin to appreciate how deeply his presidency is going to affect Nigeria. I don't believe in Donald Trump. I don't think he's an exemplar of what a leader should be. But of course, he's not different from what Nigerian leaders are. But hey, it is what it is. Americans voted for him. And there's no dispute. Nobody went to court. So he is the president. That's the man they want. But America first policy is going to affect
Nigeria. Another African country.
Now the man is going to ramp up oil production and make things. In fact, his primary decision is to make America secure, energy-wise. That's going to affect international price of crude.
And the 15% forecast of...
Exactly. So how will that affect Nigeria? This country will be fixed by Nigerians in Nigeria. How are we doing that? I'm not too sure that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in any case, we don't have an ambassador as it is right now in the US, or in fact in any other country that I know of, since Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in and recalled all ambassadors. So these things are issues that we must begin to look at. This is a government that says it's going to bring down inflation to 15%. How? Because yesterday NCC approved a 50% increase in tariff, and which should be expected. So nobody should blame any of the companies, because they are providing services, and the prices of goods and services have skyrocketed. So it is affecting them. The issue is that this increase is also going to affect every other price.
Of course.
People who depend on internet, communications, everything. So how can that bring down inflation by the end of the year? It doesn't make sense. These guys are taking us for a ride. And the alien Nigerians begin to ask themselves the necessary questions, the better for all of us. Otherwise, we will be in this mess for much longer.
Well, this is a conversation we're having. As long as you stay glued to Breakfast Central on News Central, we would be having this conversation extensively. And we look forward to possibly also get your input on that. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you for your analysis concerning the newspaper front pages.